I didn't want to address this, and this is a whole part of the whole thing. Like, I've never addressed Vaush because he's useless, or what's his name, Hassan. Yeah. We did last week, and we just wanted to mention this because I think my whole point in this section is showing you guys we get a lot of criticism for going after the progressives, the left, right? But they're so much more dangerous than the right, especially in this. Is
that your theory?
That is my theory.
Because that's going to be pushed back against, fam. Because the whole argument is that ideologically we're more in line with the leftists.
No.
Didn't you know that Donald Trump had a celebration on that boat too? Like, you hear that mentality. They always say the right is more dangerous than the left, and that's their whole game right now. It's all about right wingers, right wingers, right wingers, right wingers. We got to stop right wingers. So what you're saying on record today is that the left is more dangerous.
It's not the left. It's the faux left, the bourgeois left, the pretend communists, right? We talked about the Communist Party USA. We've talked about these people that, you know why they're more dangerous? Because I know where Republican stands. I don't have to try to figure it out. I know where they stand, where a neocon stands on war. I know where, they stand on abortion and religious bullshit, merging the state and religion. I know where they stand on certain things on the economy. I don't have to fucking dissect that. I have to, though, dissect this. People like Vaush, who I believe are intelligence assets, and they are training the next generation. A lot of Gen Z, right, are the viewers on Twitch, and they're feeding them fake theory because it's not even based in real theory. And they are brainwashing, propagandizing these people. Because do you think the CIA doesn't have knowledge that the younger people need to be brought into these new organizations? And I read this article, I've talked about it before, where the CIA was literally going in and actually going after people on social media to recruit them, people who are entirely just have a following on Twitter. They're trying to get that sort of thing going. So that's essentially it. So let's go ahead and play this video, because this is where Vaush admitted that he was an informant. And thank you, Franco, for posting this, and would rat out names to the higher ups when he was involved in Antifa. So let's just go ahead and listen to what this idiot said.
Like a Fed op, like you could say that about literally anything. There are informants everywhere. I'm an informant. Why do you think I did Antifa work back in Santa Monica? I was ratting out names. Absolutely, we've all been informants. Yeah.
So he's downplaying it, right? And then the next one, Oz, we can go ahead and play as well. The next one is where he was saying that, it's popular now to attack Julian Assange if you're like trying to be super edgy and for no reason hate on his supporters who are just very passionate about freeing Julian Assange, because they understand that issue of free speech and the truth and press affects every issue you might fight for. And so he basically said he wanted Julian Assange to suffer in order to piss off his supporters. So let's listen to this deranged commentary.
Crystal Ball dismantles MSNBC lies about Assange. Hey, can I be real with you guys? Okay. I want Assange to die in a CIA black site just because it would trigger all the worst people on Twitter. Can I be real with you guys? I don't even remember shit about him. I don't even care. The whistleblowing shit is bullshit. It's just the worst people in the universe like Assange. And I honestly think the utility that you would get from their anger would be superior to anything you could get from proper civil rights or whatever. Yeah, no. Oh, God. Already shipped the clip? Good, ship it. This is getting included in the video. This isn't the preamble. I'm leading the video with this, yeah. I like Snowden. Snowden's cool. Be honest, you only dislike him because of what he did to the Democrats in the election race. I'm going to be real with you. If Julian Assange exclusively released info to help Bernie win over the DNC, and that was the only thing he did, I would still say the whole CIA black site thing. The fact that he's a horrible person, incredibly annoying, and also is conservative and just politically reprehensible only adds to my convictions. You like Chelsea Manning? I like Chelsea Manning, even though she doesn't follow me on Twitter.
because they have to be the white knight, so they have to project things in a certain way. Oh, I'm trying to protect people from COVID, so Pasta, you can't speak on stage because I have to protect other people. Does this come into play somewhere, the narcissism?
They're some of the most narcissistic, self-centered, self-victimizing people that exist. And that is a part of the criticism from the right that is actually valid. And it's because they're not addressing that criticism that it pushes people away. And the left is so weak here, or almost non-existent, the real left, to the point where that notion of the faux left, that people like Hassan Piker, like Vaush, all those people have become what is essentially the left in America. Yeah. And so it's hard to say that, that it's not real, because that's what is known as the left in America. And so it is unfortunate that we still have to talk in these paradigms, because at the end of the day, what is left or right? It's just a concept, a list of ideas that you put on one spectrum or another. It is more right now about the authoritarianism, about opposing actual fascism and this totalitarian control. Now, the right, of course, accepts these, just malignment of the left as, oh, that's communism. Oh, that's communism. Oh, it's this, we're turning into a communist state. No. That's not communism. That's fascism. It's fascism. So the CIA is very smart in putting little, tricks on both ends of the spectrum. On the Democratic end, they trick people into feeling like self-righteous idiots. On the right, they trick people into believing the boogeyman is always communism. So they reject that, even though what they're actually rejecting is actually fascism.
It's a form of fascism. It's authoritarianism, right? It's totalitarianism and whatnot. Yeah. And I think that we should not call it the left in America. I think we should call it the American left, because there is no left in America. And that's the God's honest truth. When we were overseas, they're like, there's no left in America. Nobody cares about this bourgeoisie bullshit, whatnot. And like you said, they're tricked in on the right to believing that communism is the issue and stuff like that, when communism and socialism really just started out as labor movements. Mm-hmm. That's all. It is about labor movements. It's got nothing to do with the bourgeoisie and what goes on in your house. And what we're seeing right in front of us, from what we've talked to Cynthia McKinney when it comes to the COINTELPRO stuff, it's playing out. They have people that they can control. They're little puppets. They control the internet. They control the flow of traffic. Because I was always trying to figure out, fam, how come Vaush has so many followers? I thought maybe it was his nice slick hair and that beautiful ponytail he has and whatnot. But it obviously seems like somebody's flipping the switches on the other side. So what's to say now that once they'll get their Twitch channels back? We know this, right? If they already haven't. What's to say now that they won't use this and say, well, we know we're not intelligence because Twitch took away our channel? You see? That proves that they hate us.
So yeah, we just gotta get it back on the slide situation.
I'm so sorry.
So let's just go to the next one. The next one. Yeah. So he's saying a lot of his supporters are always saying that he's joking. And they're saying, hey, he's joking. He was totally being sarcastic. But that's their go-to every single time. Every single time something happens, that's their go-to. Oh, he's joking. How many times is a guy going to be joking? So stop saying he's joking. He's obviously not joking. So now he takes Franco's tweet and says, hey, I can't believe they took the bait. Like, it's like, oh, that's bait. So you're either a grifter or you're just now trying to cover your tracks, because it's one or the other. And people who are actual grifters, because that word gets thrown around a lot, are a detriment, because a lot of people think, oh, well, he's just kidding the whole time. So then don't take him seriously as news when he has an opinion then, because if he's just joking, you don't ever know what's true and what isn't. Next slide. Okay. So there's a record of him, right, lying. He had this whole situation right there. I mean, it's a little far for me to see, so let me just try to find it here. Okay, so there was a live stream in 2019 where he was talking about lowering the age of consent, and how owning pedophilia is not terrible, and how most people have watched, child porn. I can't even, say this stuff without getting weirded out, right? And so there's a history of him saying racist things, arguing in favor of saying the N-word. and all of that sort of thing. And so it's just hilarious to me that people like him get a pass, right? And then you have people like Niko and I, when we say, hey, you know, here's a video of a woman arguing against mandates. Oh, you must be a right-wing Nazi. It's a lot. But like people like Vaush, Beverly Hills, you know, spoiled rich kid, white, gets away with all of these things. Like all of these things. He's hardly the only one. But it's just crazy to me. Like, you know, when like, and we talk about it all the time, Niko and I, when you're a minority, you have to stay in your lane. You cannot be a non-democrat, a non-progressive, tokenized minority. You can't, you know, speak against a lot of the idiocy of these woke social justice warriors who put out all this bullshit and say, oh, it's because I care about people of color, when they literally don't give two shits.
They don't. They tokenize people of color for their own benefit to make themselves look like the white savior. And it is funny when you see white women going, how dare you speak of that stuff, man, like that? How dare you speak out of line?
Yeah, like, and so this person said, I'm convinced that Vaush is a CIA plant whose purpose is to cosplay as a radical leftist while while manipulating his audience into making very non-leftist choices at the voting booth. Why else would such a radical leftist dub himself progressive for Biden? Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as that. Biden's a Republican. I mean, like, just be honest, right? And so that to me is just the essence of it all. And so when
it comes to policy, he's definitely a Republican. When it comes to a politician, he's the American left. He's always crying for the small and disenfranchised. And then policy-wise, he comes around and goes, F you. So,
but policy is what matters. Policy is the, you know.
Yeah. I think it's establishment would be the best way to, because the establishment is fucking, they're just all about control. They've abandoned every single bit of
right. Like it's what you know, it's the idea of just they're rich, you're not. They're in control, you're not.
Not exactly.
Like that's really what it is at this point.
Absolutely.
And so then Vaush and Hassan Piker both got banned on Twitch, as we had mentioned. Why did they get banned? Because it used the word cracker. Now, these people are gross or narcissistic. They're absolute awful people that would never, that would cheer if people like us got banned. And they have cheered before when people like us get banned off YouTube and stuff. They actually advocate in favor of banning people like us. But I still believe you shouldn't ban those people for what they said. Cracker? Are you serious, Twitch? Like, come on. They have said far worse things before. But somehow that is some sort of racism against. Come on, get the fuck out of here. Come on, it's a saltine cracker.
Yeah, it's a gateway though. It's a gateway to allow themselves to do more. Remember, it was simp that they banned anybody using the word simp, whatnot, anything from the English language. They start over here, and then a lot of people go, they're making sure that nobody's getting bullied because kids will get bullied online and then they'll commit suicide, and that's what the Facebook whistleblower was all about. Was about manufacturing more consent for censorship. And that's what they're doing over here by saying, oh, he used the word cracker, we're going to ban him. They'll get their channels back. This is also cover for them as well to kind of hide the fact that, it makes them look like they're raging against the machine when really at the end of the day, they're working for the machine.
Okay. So don't answer the
I'm not.
Okay. And so I'm like, what's going on? We're in the middle of the show. And so Glenn Greenwald actually made a comment, right? And he said, here are the one of the Twitch streamers who got suspended yesterday for calling white people crackers, which Twitch regards as a racist slur, explaining how vital it is that free speech be limited. And then he said, banning people for using the term crackers is obviously demented and repressive, but the ultimate case of reaping and sowing. It was incredibly easy to predict, and many tried warning that banning people like Milo and Alex Jones would inevitably lead to this outcome. And we did. We said once they go after Alex Jones, they're going to go after all of us. Yeah. This is a slippery slope. This is what's going to continue to happen. And it's hilarious watching people be so upset at them being banned and then just still advocating for censorship, though, because on the next slide, Hassan is really pissed at Glenn for even saying that. He says, how dare you, bro? Alex Jones got people harassing Sandy Hook victims' parents, and Milo was doxing trans students at college campuses. And this man is saying that this is what caused me to get banned for saying cracker. I'm sorry, but this is pure brain rot. He's not understanding what Glenn is saying. Glenn is saying once they ban anybody for their belief or for their speech, no matter how, awful or stupid or how much of the actual disinformation it is, they're going to go after everybody. That's and that goes over Hassan's head because he operates from ideology first. But that's different because Alex Jones is a right-wing weirdo and he was talking against Sandy Hook victims and saying it was a conspiracy and all this other shit. So it doesn't matter. It's not for the same reason. No, it is. It is because they're trying to control speech.
So you're saying that Hassan's not getting the point that the fact that
clearly
they're banning people for speech, he thinks that they should be more selective of how they're banning people for speech, which is racism. A quagmire. It's just it's a fucked up situation.
He thinks it's racism. He thinks it's because they're Twitch is racist because now they're allowing people to say more derogatory things towards people of color and trans people, but they're banning the word cracker. So do you not think this whole narrative is a whole entire psyop? Come on, this is exactly what they want. Oh, see, they're racist, and so now they're elevating white people's voices. So see, I'm a victim because whenever people of color and trans people get maligned, nobody's banned, and so we have to ban the right, not the left. The left is, and so then you start in that argument, that lower frequency argument of it's racism, it's this, it's that. No, it's about censorship of any dissent. That's what it's about, period.
So Alex Jones didn't necessarily tell people to go harass people from Sandy Hook. He said it was a false flag, and therefore people harass people from Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
Is there any line to what could be said and what can't be said? I mean, as long as he's not saying, go harass these people of Sandy Hook, they're the ones who are causing the problems because they want to take away your guns and they're using this as a way. Is that, if he didn't say that, is it okay for him to say what he wants to say? Because that's the argument, fam. He's saying that because of Alex Jones's rhetoric, it caused people to harass victims of parents of the victims of Sandy Hook. Where's the fine line there? I mean, are we okay to say that, and same thing with Milo. Milo didn't say, go harass these trans people. He was talking about the whole trans issue, and people then supposedly started doxing trans people. So where's that line that we're looking at, what you can say and what you can't say? I mean, I've always said, as long as you're not directing people to do these things, then it should be legal, should it not? I mean, does Hassan have any type of weight in his argument over here?
I mean, honestly, I don't know because I don't know the situation of Milo. I don't pay attention to those people.
Yeah, well, he didn't tell them he didn't dox people.
I think they're just grifters too. I think that's what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they play the same role Hassan plays in terms of, the Antifa versus the Proud Boys. It's that same sort of role they each play. So that's why I don't even talk about these people, like these Republicans, people like Milo, because what am I going to get offended that they're anti-trans? Okay, so what good does it do to rage against some idiot that is a mouthpiece for the national security state? I mean, that's really what these people are. They're there to distract us into this culture war when really put them aside and really focus on the people at the top, because that's really what this is about here. We're entering towards fascism every single fucking day in this country. And so that's what we need to focus on, right? These mandates and that whole situation. So, okay, so I sent the link to our friend. If you want to take a look at any sort of Rokfin or anything like that while we...
Well, I just want to close up the statement and say that I think that even though these situations, which Hassan is kind of pointing to, he might be somewhat true. It said Alex Jones got people harassing Sandy Hook victims. He didn't tell people to go harass those victims. Same thing with Milo. So the whole thing about it is no matter how harmful the speech, unless they're breaking the law, that speech should be allowed. And that's just the bottom line.
Unless they're inciting actual violence or of some sort.
They're trying to draw that connection there.
Yeah, of course, because they disagree with it. I mean, look, the fucking ACLU stood by Nazis' right to march. And that is, that's something crazy. Like when I was younger, I was like, well, why? Like, that's not fair. Nazis shouldn't have a platform to speak. Because that's what I used to think. And then I started seeing where this country was headed, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is how this happens then, because that's where we're at.
Yeah.